and welcome back to this fourth episode of our vlog about lean-agile approach to ISO 9001, the standard for quality management systems. And my name is Andreas, and I have my good colleague Jon here, and we're going to continue to chit-chat in this informal way about how to apply the requirements in the ISO 9001 standard in a practical, lean, agile way.
And to just follow up on that, Andreas, what we are doing in this vlog is to help you see how your ISO requirements can be part of your daily business by applying lean with a lean mindset, the directions, the value flows, waste and culture of continuous improvement on one side, and on the other side, the day-to-day value creation through best practices as Agile teach us to do. So by applying the ISO requirements and merge lean and agile in, you get an operational continuous improvement culture. And that's what we explain in this series of vlog episodes. So by that, Andreas, what are we actually doing today?
Yes, as we have done in the previous episodes so far, is that we have dissected one of the clauses in the ISO 9001 standard, which is about design and development planning. So today we're going to talk more about the clause in design and development planning, which is about the responsibilities and authorities involved in the design and development process, and the internal and external resources that you need for the design and development of your product or service. And as we have discussed earlier in the earlier episodes around this clause, you can't see clauses as one thing. You have to put them into a more holistic approach, and all the clauses in the standard, they are tied together and is a recipe for actually getting the result of continuous improvement. So it's ingredients that you need in place to actually work with continuous improvement, and lean and agile are the methods and ceremonies and culture needed to actually do it in practice. So we're talking about this to connect these into the whole picture, as you saw in the former slide. So today we're actually only going to talk about these two small requirements in the standard, which
turn out maybe, Andreas, to be not that very small in practice if we are going to do it properly. But the part of the ISO standard as a whole, I think you are very right. But these are fundamental requirements when you are doing development work.
It is.
Yeah. So we have broken this down to some keywords related to each of these sub-clauses, and you may want to start and explain a little bit here, Andreas.
Yes, I mean, as we talked about in the former episode 3, we were talking about if you actually work in an agile process, you apply to the requirements in the design and development planning part of the standard. And if we look at this, the responsibilities and authorities involved in the design and development process, it actually says here it's a design and development process, and agile is also a process. To work agile is a process. And as you can see, if you work agile, let's say with Scrum, you have the agile team. You have a product owner, which is the kind of the role where you kind of brain pick your customer to see what is the requirements needed, what are they, what do they actually need,
The voice of the customer, actually, Andreas.
Exactly. That's yeah, very good word. It's the voice of the customer. And then you have the Scrum Master, which is a kind of a leadership role that keeps everything flowing and going smooth and working. And you have the agile team members who are the experts in certain areas that is needed for the product or for the code or for the service or whatever you're actually developing and designing. So you have these very clear roles, and with those roles there are responsibilities that is actually crystal clear. What is your role in this team, in this process to support the design and development process?
So no matter actually if you are working Scrum like or you are working in a bit broader sense, these thinking taken from the Scrum way of thinking, that having as part of the team the customer voice, having the Scrum Master knowing the methodology and keeping up with how the team should work, and then the team members, they get kind of self-sufficient. It's a team that is well defined. They have the roles needed. They have the customer centricity built in. They have the design thinking through the work that they have been prioritized into the stories or whatever you call the activities they are working on. And they are developing whatever they do in sync with the other teams, if there are many teams involved in whatever the organization is developing. And I have to say also, Andreas, that more and more now we see agile thinking grow out of the IT department and taking over, so to say, as a best way to glue the whole organization together. From a strategic point of view, from a business best practice point of view, from a development point of view, and whatever you are doing, the agile way of doing is the best way to synchronize work in an efficient way. So this specific part with responsibilities, authorities, and resources needed, when it comes to the responsibilities, as Andreas said, the team structure should be built to contain the responsibilities that they are taking care of. And that is the decentralized part of agile way of thinking. There is no boss telling you what to do in detail here. The team has the role and the responsibility to deliver, and therefore they have to be combined with roles and skills needed to do the work.
Yes, of course, and this is connected to training and awareness and support in all kinds of ways. I mean, going agile if you want to go agile and have an agile process, then you actually need a lot of training and you need a lot of understanding for the setup and how to actually get an agile organization working for real. But we will come to that in later episodes. You can be sure about that. What we're talking about here is, yes, if you don't know anything about agile ways of working or Scrum, and this can sound, there's a lot of words that we talk about that might not be so familiar for you, and we will explain that in later episodes, of course, and just bear with us. Agile ways of thinking is you have to tweak your mindset a bit about how to work agile, but it is a very good way to work if you work with development and design and planning of that, and it's a fast-paced way to actually move on customer demands. And especially if it's a lot of changing demands, and it could be internal customers or external customers, it really doesn't matter. It's about to develop and design things to add value, and that's a very nice lean approach. You need to focus on adding value,
Exactly. Going back to the table here again, we spoke about the team as the entity that needs to have the responsibility and the roles to fulfill its purpose. So that is the A32D. If we move for just a second to A32E, we have the internal and external resources needed. And then it gets a bit more complicated because you need to rely on others in a structured way. And that's where also a scaled way to work in agile ways comes in, where teams are dependent on each other in a predefined way, where they are taking responsibility for different types of tasks, and the dependencies are very much highlighted doing that. And each team has its roles and functions and depend and rely on deliveries from others in order to function. And that is the way team working should be done in a day-to-day business in order to fulfill the requirement from A through to E. But you also have this complexity related to shared services and subcontractors, Andreas. What would you say about that?
Yes, I mean, sometimes you're in a situation with a team, with an agile team, where you can't solve a problem on your own within your team. Then you are dependent on other parts. It's like shared services. That could be an expert in one area, in a very specific area, and you need that person to actually jump into the team and do some tasks with you, and those are called shared services because they're not part of a team, so to say, an agile team. They are a part of a special team that is called shared services, where you can have your super specialists that can go in and out of the other teams if you have a large organization with a lot of agile teams. And that's just one example of an kind of internal resource that could be needed in the design and development planning and the process. And of course you have other supporting roles like HR. You have you might need but if you just think about all the support functions that you have in a company, they could need to support in one or other way an agile team in specific tasks. And those are, you have to remember those shared service or supporting roles are part of the internal and resources that might be needed in the design and development of a product or service, and you have to plan for that. Can we solve the problem that we have planned or the design that we have planned on our own, or do we need any internal or external resources? And you do this automatically when you are planning, if you use the agile process in a proper way.
Yeah,
and of course, subcontractors comes in here as well. If you need external resources, subcontractors is the way to go, and we will have an episode about that as well.
I'm sure we will. But it's also very important to underline that in agile, teams are not interchanged. Members of teams are not going in and out all the time. And that's why we say that, Andreas, as you say, that we need a clean interface between what the team is doing and what they need from an external shared services or subcontractor. Because the fundamental thing about agile is to learn and continuously improve. And by assigning teams with different members all the time and mix them around will not be efficient building of competence. So that's why we need to say that the requirement A32E has to do with how to interface the external or business internal resources and subcontractors with the teams in a predefined way, so that it's part of the work, it's a part of the backlog, so to say, of what the team is going to do, but they need from time to time to get interface to these outside the team to get the competence needed or whatever is on the agenda.
Yeah, and then and talking about that we're talking about when it comes to develop the people inside of the team, we're always talking about being T-shaped. You have to be a bit broad and also deep in your knowledge, and so that you have a team in the beginning that are composed by people that has a deep understanding in certain different areas. But as time goes on, they will also broaden their knowledge about other areas, and then they will be this T-shaped. And that is very important. And when you take in internal or external resources into the team, it's not only in the context to solve a certain task or activity during the process of developing or designing something. It is also to actually have a learning process within the team, so they can broaden their knowledge in an area. So it's a
good point.
It's very important, and that is also connected to parts in other parts and clauses and requirements in the standard, is how to develop the people. And of course, we will talk about that later as well.
We have a lot to talk about, Andreas. To sum up a little bit here, I hope you and Andreas and myself, we really hope that you can see that these clauses that has to do with responsibilities and authorities involved must be solved within a team structure. Well-defined teams with well-defined responsibilities and roles and competences, and use that as the basis for decentralized decision-making, so that things are going in the right direction. And when we go to the E clause, A32E clause, we rely on internal and external resources, still keeping the team structure, but adding them in a predefined way by having a prioritized task or backlog, where we do know in advance, no surprises, that we need a clean interface of competence coming from the business or outside the business, or in the shape and form of subcontractors, in order to fulfill whatever we are doing. In that way, we are building the competence, we are developing the teams, and we are delivering whatever we are set to do as well. Okay,
Very
Andreas. I would also like to add that Andreas and myself, we are very, very into this. We would like to share as much as possible. And therefore, if you need or would like a discussion with us on how this could be applied to your environment in your business, we have 1 hour free chat one-to-one that will help you, where you can prepare your questions, and we will have a discussion on how you can approach your lean agile way of working and fulfilling the requirements in ISO at the same time, because that is the whole point of using lean and agile principles in combination with ISO, is that the ISO requirements comes in an automatic way when you are working in that particular way. So please use that possibility and get in touch with us, and we will be happy to assist you for 60 minutes, totally free.
And of course, if you have any question, just email us or contact us in one way or another. Use LinkedIn, connect with us. Of course, subscribe to this blog here on YouTube. And what you can do is actually, if you have a problem or thoughts about a clause in the standard and how to apply lean and agile practices on that clause, just ask us and we will do an episode about that.
Exactly.
So please come with your input.
So Andreas, what is left now is to thank everybody for watching this vlog. We are so happy that you are following us. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, because then you get notified when we get to publish new episodes of our vlog on how to merge ISO, Lean and Agile together. So thank you so much for following us.
Thank you.
Thank you.